already starting an episode laughing. This is a good sign. You just had a great idea. What are we going to do today?
Well, we came to the table being like, sometimes you can't write a hit song every time you sit down with a guitar.
I don't know. We're hit songs every week, but
we have the photographer mindset. It puts us in a little bit of a niche, as Seth was just explaining to me, which I agree with. It's in the title. So we talk about photography a lot. And I said, you know what? What if that was our episode? We're not allowed to talk about photography. Once we say start, I don't even know if we can say the word today.
It's like Voldemort.
Yep.
No, I've done it.
We're not going to speak about photography. We're going to talk about each other's lives.
Yeah, we haven't started yet, so we don't get penalized for saying photography. But it was a really good idea. You're like, hey man, we meet every week. We talk about photography. We try to give helpful advice to people who are, I think most people are intermediates or beginners, somewhere in there. And we run a business together. We're always texting, probably close to every day. And it's always about the podcast or the business or something about photography. And you and I never really just check in on one another. So let's do an episode where we attempt to not talk about photography. It's going to be hard. And you said, I don't know, we're making up the rules as we go. Maybe the penalty is, you said push-ups, but I always hated that, looking back, that the penalty for being bad was running lines like suicides or doing push-ups. I'd hate that exercise is penalized.
I need to do it today.
You need to do it. I've been catching you in the Garmin app.
Yeah.
It'll say like 8 minutes of a workout, and I go and check it. It's push-ups. I'm like, he dropped down.
That was yesterday.
Nice.
Yep. You got
How do we even begin? I'm in a void. I'm in a black vortex. I just don't even know. How do I not say the P word?
All right. 3, 2, 1. Game on.
All right.
I think you start with hey.
We just completely forget how to be human beings.
What are you doing up to?
Forget how to function socially.
True,
even when you and I I was about to go there, but even when you and I hang out, like when we've done Alaska, It's always been around the P word.
The P word.
The P word. Am I allowed to say that?
I hope people think we're not going to Alaska for a different P word. That would be bad.
You're insane.
No, listen, it will be tough, but I think we'll find our flow once we just start talking about life. Just got to be careful not to relate it back to the P word.
Good. I just finished a book.
What book?
It's called I think I mentioned it. Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes.
You did.
Holding it up for people who are on YouTube. If you're not, head there. Oh, let me adjust the focus on this. There you go. Pretty cool cover.
Yeah.
It is, for anyone who's interested, it is by a guy named Daniel Everett. And it kind of blends, it's a memoir of his that blends his experience in linguistics and anthropology, and talks about the unique language and culture of the Piraha people in the Amazon rainforest, which is really interesting, explores their different way of life. It's interesting. In their grammar, they have no past and future tense. Everything is present tense.
Huh.
There's no words for will or did.
Huh. Do they explain history? Do they explain?
Well, they have no creation myths. You think about every culture has kind of a creation myth, right?
Even like yesterday or last week.
I think they're able to, if I recall, they're able to reference it in a way with still using present tense language, which is interesting. There's no written language. It's just a very minimalist, present focused lifestyle. So it's interesting if you're curious about different cultures. And it really challenges, I think, the Western ideas of happiness.
Yeah.
What it means to live a meaningful life. They just fish, hunt, and sleep and exist. It was a good read. Check it out. Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes.
Yeah.
And the cover is cool. I'm not allowed to talk about the imagery.
Nope. No one knows how that was
Good book.
created.
I'm reading Harry Potter, the 5th book.
Nice. I'm rereading The Alchemist.
I don't know what that is.
After one of our guests mentioned it a few weeks ago. I was like, oh yeah, that is a good one. I read it a long time ago.
Which guest?
It's about this shepherd, Mr. Burkhart.
Oh, that hasn't aired yet.
No.
Ooh, look out for that.
This shepherd who, again, talking about happiness and your ability to change, alchemy, and this quest for what's important. And he kind of sees a fortune or a future. I've just restarted it, so it's a little fuzzy, but he's faced with this quest to travel very far to find this treasure. But I think the thing is going to be like, what's the real treasure?
One of those.
Yeah.
One of those. I started the
basically Outer Banks.
Right. I started the 5th Harry Potter book because I realized that I had started it in like 5th or 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never finished the series. I'm holding it up again on YouTube. Order of the Phoenix. You know, one of these hardcovers, original hardcover, is like $100.
Wow, that is big.
You see that? Look at that.
Maybe that's why I never read those.
I mean, they're easy reads. They're big.
No.
And I never read fiction, like very rarely. And I'm hooked on this, and I've already seen the movies. I know what happens. It's just a good story.
Why don't you read fiction? I have my answer.
You mean you have your answer about why I don't, or you have your
why I don't?
I'll get to that in a minute. But I vividly remember starting it in 5th or 6th grade, and I never finished it. And I was aware that I didn't finish it. It's not like I forgot that I finished it. And one of my things for 2025, I think I've said this, is closing open loops. So just closing the loop on things that I started and never finished.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd like to always get better at finishing what I started. I just feel better, and I think it's a good way to build some character. So I got inspired because Haley's been reading the books. She loves the movies, and this is actually my mom's set. She's working her way through. She's on the 6th one. I was like, you know what?
How many are there?
There's 7.
7 books. Okay.
I'm like, you know what? I need to finish this series.
Yeah.
So when Haley was on the 5th book, she opened it up, and I had a bookmark from. You ever have book fairs as a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
we're running one right now.
Nice. I had a bookmark with a tree frog on it, PHOTO. A tree frog on it, and it fell out of the book, and it was like a time machine, and I was like, oh man, I'm just excited to get back into this. So I'm going to finish the series. I'm going to finish the Harry Potter series. Maybe
are there 7 movies?
There's 8 movies. The last one they did
in
part 1 and part 2. But to your question about fiction, first of all, I'll tell you why this is refreshing to read fiction, because I can just, and this is so aligned with some of our most recent episodes, I can just find a way to enjoy. I'm trying to, and successfully doing this, find a way to just enjoy and get lost in the story and avoid going to where my brain likes to go to, which is, why would you read fiction? It's not teaching you anything useful or a skill, which technically isn't true. I mean, any reading is working out your brain. There's actually studies that show that it helps you speak because you're mimicking speech in your head.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Improves your vocabulary. There's lots of words in this Order of the Phoenix book that I was like, large word.
Large word.
But for the longest time, the podcasts I listened to, the books I was reading are all, how can I be a better version of me? Just all based on productivity. And it's so refreshing to just read about some dementors and a guy with a lightning bolt on his forehead, and just, I'm enjoying myself. I'm just enjoying myself. I'm trying to invite, and not that reading nonfiction isn't fun. I like it, but it is a workout. It's the intent in that isn't I'm enjoying the reading itself. It's I'm enjoying that I'm learning and can put something to use. And that gets tiring, I think, if you do it all the time. So it's a nice break.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I understand what you're saying. Similarly, I don't think, God, I don't even know. I guess The Alchemist is a fiction, so kind of eating my own words here. But typically, I'm with you.
How can we keep aligning like this?
It's
weird.
I don't know. It's that,
we were doing goofy posts on Instagram. That doesn't count as talking about,
Nope. Don't even go there.
We're being goofy now. We're both reading fiction. Get out of my head, bro.
I didn't even realize that I was reading it.
Who's copying who though?
Yeah, but for me, it reminds me of people that tell you a really long dream story, like blah 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 blah. What I just did? Blah blah blah. This never happened, and you're like, oh my god.
Oh, so you find the ability for it to be practical
fiction. Now, there's certain, like, have you ever heard of James Michener?
No.
I think you would actually really like that because you like travel and some other things and culture and history and whatnot. But they're historical fictions based on places. So he has one, for example, called Hawaii, and it talks about like the Polynesian culture way back then, how Hawaii became a thing, and then it kind of goes through the history, and then there's a storyline behind it. He has one for almost every famous place.
You mentioned this person before. I vaguely know who you're speaking of. I couldn't have pulled the name out of a hat, but if you text me it, and I will check this author out. You said they're very meaty.
They are meaty also.
They're meaty books.
Yeah. Maybe start with a thinner one.
It can be so intimidating, but it's just the same thing. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? What's interesting? You said, oh, you're interested in history and culture and stuff like that. I wasn't before I started reading. I think here's where people get snagged is they say, why would I read that? I'm not interested in it. Well, how can you be interested in it if you know absolutely nothing about it? For me, the interest came from just, well, let's see what this is about. Right? You're like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting. I wonder like how many people prevent themselves from experiencing the joy of learning something or just because they think they don't, because they claim they don't like it. Well, how could you have interest in it if you've never had any exposure to it? And in school, reading your textbook doesn't count. Because that's boring as hell.
Yeah. I guess maybe. I mean,
to me, anyways, I did not like school, man.
I guess sometimes you just know what you know what you like, know what you don't like, know you're not going to be into it. But
I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that's true at all.
Well,
I don't.
How
did you? Oh, I almost talked about it. I almost related it back.
You can't. I'm not gonna. I'm over it.
How would you know that you like riding your bike if you've never pushed the pedals?
No, maybe not. Maybe not never. But there might be things around it. Oh, I hate being outside. I hate going fast.
Being outside.
I hate.
I mean, I guess
the idea of being injured. Like, it's just not for me. I'm not doing it.
Right. I mean, I guess that's fair.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I got new skis and I went skiing for the first time in 25 years.
How was it? Did you pizza fry?
No, I'm gonna look at the camera for this one. I'm a fantastic skier.
Oh, I'm picturing you.
However, it's been 20 years.
Frame, just you look up the mountain and you're just blasting moguls.
I used to, not anymore. Now I'm starting slow. But
hey,
my parents always said, I mean, I skied a lot until I was about 12, and they're like, "You're a very pretty skier." You know, the pretty skiers, like there's a tempo to it.
Not really, but I'll trust you.
Okay. Well, you can imagine you're a skater. Like, I'm sure there's pretty skaters. Are there pretty skaters?
I'm one of them.
Yeah. But are there ugly skaters that are efficient?
Oh, yeah. You can have bad form. And you're like, whoa.
Okay.
I would say smooth. So, yeah.
Yeah, smooth.
Just they know how to move their body.
But there's a part of me that knows, like, I don't really want to snowboard. And I guess to your point, if I tried, maybe I would love it, but.
Right? Now, do you not want to try it because you know you're going to eat shit for like a month and you don't want to put your body through that?
That's maybe part of it.
What could be
it wouldn't be that different, I suppose, with what you're saying.
Right, what could be so off-putting about a snowboard compared to a ski? skiing. There's no way you can answer that.
No.
Which is to my point.
Except for skiers, we just hate snowboarders. So that's why.
Yeah. So it's like a fixed mindset.
Yeah. I'm never doing it. Don't try to convince me. Or skating. Ice is hard.
Not for Canadians.
I know. Do you know I've ice skated only 2 times in my life?
Really?
Yeah, but I rollerbladed, so and I skied.
Similar.
So I had
you'd be all right.
I had a sense, and I was all right. I could hockey stop, like I felt comfortable.
Oh,
you know where the first time I skied was? It was in Edmonton at the mall.
Oh yeah, the Edmonton Mall, the indoor ice.
Yeah,
ice rink.
Yeah.
We have a hockey arena. I was just about to say, like, that's impressive to Americans. You guys have everything. You have like 10 fast food restaurants on one block.
Yeah, we know what's up.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, is it? Having that many on.
No,
that many choices of
competitive
2,000 calorie plus meals.
Healthy competitive.
What could go wrong?
A lot. Oh, my dog. Do you guys know that I have a dog? Yeah, you do.
Cap.
He was saying hi. He ran away the other day, but I got him.
How's Cap changed you?
Ooh. Well, let me tell you.
Because you've been a dog owner for a long time. I met the Callie girl.
Oh, Callie.
R.I.P. She was a sweetheart.
Yeah.
You got the new lad. I mean, having a very old dog versus a brand new energetic husky is 2 totally different things. I mean, Callie, you could just open the door and she's gassed after 10, 20 feet.
Yeah, she
now
was.
you gotta break a husky.
I was wondering if I had stats on like how many steps I've taken with him, because I have a GPS collar because I don't want to lose him because he does.
Right. Okay. Can I ask you another question?
It's a flight risk.
I have a better question.
Yeah.
How has Cap changed? How has having Cap changed your life?
Mm-hmm.
You can only name one way for the better. In what way?
If I have to name one.
Yeah.
There's an incredible connection with this dog. It's strange. This might be a longer answer, but it is the
people
one
would
thing.
expect nothing less from you. I'd be worried if you
I know.
were short.
There's so many different things. I want to say them all. I don't want to just say one, but if I have to say one, he's laying on the yoga mat and he's playing right now. My goodness, it's cute. Because he knows I'm talking about him. Hey, bud. The one connection thing, Huskies if anyone's had a Husky or a Husky mix, their personality is like oozing out of them. And there's such personality to the dogs. It feels like you're dealing with a human that's stuck in an animal's body.
Why is that appealing?
At times it's not.
You just described the most probably incredibly inconvenient situation. You're like, it's the best.
It kind of is. It's kind of so bad it's good.
Run you for 2 hours so that you stop crying at me. I love that you have insane predator drive.
It's so bad it's good that you just feel like, wow, I can't leave you alone for a couple hours because you're gonna literally be sad and hold it against me. You're gonna hold it against me and just stare at me while I'm trying to sleep with your eyes wide open. No, there's just it's because of the personality. To me, it feels like a way bigger connection. And I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it's just like I don't know how else to describe it other than it feels like it's like a person in there that like really tries to communicate hard. And I think dogs do. And I might be forgetting, Callie was a different kind of dog too. She was incredibly docile and not needy and had no bad habits and was perfectly healthy until the end. I took her to the vet only for her checkups. Not once in 16, 17 years did I have to bring her to the vet for any other reason.
Old dog. Did you say 16?
Or 17. We weren't sure. It was 1.5 or 2 when I got her.
120-year-old human.
Yeah. And she looked like it.
Yeah, she was a grizzled vet.
It was like, oh, like an eyeball was falling out. Not really, but just making it gruesome. But yeah, just the responsibility and that connection and that his neediness in a way makes you very connected to his happiness, if you will, him being content, him needing 30,000 steps a day to get moderate exercise.
Does he, or are you like, you need this, and he's being dragged because he just has no.
He would. Like I said, I have the collar. It tracks his steps. So, and that's moving throughout the entire day. It's not just walks, but when he gets about 30,000, that's when he's good and he kind of settles down.
Do you ever feel like you're like, oh my God, I have so much to do and I have to walk you? I know that the right mindset is I get to, but I remember listening to a Hormozy podcast episode.
Yeah.
And by no means do I want to be like Alex Hormozy. I personally think he can be very much like a robot.
Yeah. A little much. Yeah.
But there was one thing he said that broke my heart. He was like, I don't have a dog because it would prevent me from like doing work. I have to walk and do all this. And I was like, what? That's like one of the great.
I heard him say that. And he said, if you're a boss, don't hire people that have dogs.
That's insane.
Because they have tons of excuses. Like, I got to go home. Well, I'll tell you what, tomorrow I have conferences for school, and that's from the morning till 7:30 at night. And it does create problems where it's like, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? Luckily, Hillary, our social media manager and a great friend, is available, and also / dog walker. She has a lot of roles.
Are we paying her to walk the dog too?
No, the payment is she gets to spend time with Cap, and she agrees with that. That's what she wants as payment. She's gonna give him a long walk. She's an exerciser too, so she'll go 3 miles with him, which is great. That chips some of it away. But yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah,
I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, you will. He's very talkative. He sounds like he's
I have a Husky, so
yeah, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, it's fun. Speaking of exercise, I'm like, I'm going in. Are you playing with your dog right now?
I'm gonna carry him so everyone can see.
Oh, look at the big blue eyes.
Hi, everyone.
Can you get him to growl into the mic? Little dog kiss on the mic.
Yeah.
He is handsome.
You're a handsome boy.
He looks like he has stage fright.
Yeah, he's a little.
Bopped his head.
Wants to go down. He's like, why are you torturing me? I didn't put on my makeup.
Oh, speaking of exercise, I'm going insane, huh? I haven't run in 5 weeks. Because I finally decided I was going to address my knee injury. I have like bad tendonitis.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law just had a knee replacement.
Yep.
And just like seeing that was like, oh.
Some things are not worth it.
Don't want to get to a point where, it's just, there's no going back. So it's been so hard to just stop doing something that brings you sanity, that brings you good stress management that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Just bringing it down to zero, doing rehab. It sucks. I think I've been going insane.
Yeah, that is tough. And the waiting, the injury rehab. I always thought about in golf, it was not great with my back. And I definitely pushed it way too many times. And I think that caused more issues. I always look at Tiger Woods and his bucket full of injuries.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a bucket list of injuries. You're like, yeah, no. ACL, done it.
I think he did. Isn't that sick? I think he did. I think it.
What? Come on. What do you mean?
There is a thing with him. He really wanted to be considered an athlete, and golfers were not considered athletes. And I read in his book, well, this is through Hank Haney's perspective. That's who caddied for him. Or no, I'm a golf swing coach. His swing coach for a lot of years, and he won a ton of majors under Hank Haney. But Hank Haney wrote a telltale all book about how Tiger Woods functioned as a human. Really interesting read if you're into golf, or even the killer mindset of someone that's obsessed with a craft. I'm not going to say the P word and relate it back to our podcast. I can say podcast.
Should I point to the sign behind me?
No.
I can't do this like Wheel of Fortune style.
No. But anyway, he would like to, he's sort of like a badge of honor. He would like to talk about an ACL tear, or I broke this doing this, and I golfed the US Open with a broken tibia.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people do that. It's kind of strange. Like Goggins does that. I ran on broken shins.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to be influenced to be like, by that and be like, hell yeah, that's awesome. When my shins are broken, I'll keep running. I think it's a good testament to mental resilience. Is it the smartest thing to do? Absolutely not.
No, we got to live long lives.
Right. That's interesting because I was in that box for a while. I would look at my feet after 60-kilometer week and they're just bruised and mangled and hammer toes. And I'm like, hell yeah, it's a badge of honor. And now I've read a book. Should I pull it up? Where is it?
So many books.
Oh, here it is. I read this book. Got it on my shelf beside me. Born to Run.
Oh yeah.
By Christopher McDougall.
Yeah.
Controversial, but kind of got me thinking in the reverse direction of, he talks a lot about how shoes are potentially the problem for foot issues, how you're essentially just walking around on a crutch your whole life from the time you're a toddler, and there's no ability for your feet to strengthen and just do their natural thing and have, I mean, the arches in your feet are, engineers will tell you, that's the strongest, like that's one of the strongest bridges are built like as arches, right? Your foot can handle it. So I've switched my mindset from thinking it's cool to have beat up feet to like, even right now I'm wearing toe spacers. Want to see?
Oh my God.
I got toe spacers on. I've lost my mind. No.
You've lost.
Because your feet are supposed to splay when you, your toes are supposed to splay when you walk.
Are you drying your toenail polish?
No.
Is that what those are? Similar
concept. But I'm spreading my toes back out to get the splay. Because I have weak feet. I have flat feet or fallen arches. And in the short time I feel like I've been walking around in barefoot. I have barefoot shoes. People are like, this guy's a kook. Hear me out. My arches have come back. My toes are now hitting the end of my regular or conventional shoes because they've flattened and splayed out. I've been a 10 my whole adult life. It feels like my toes splayed out could be a 10 and a half, 11 now.
Wow.
And I have more awareness every time I step, just more mindfulness in my walking.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that just having stronger, we work out our arms, we work out our legs, we work out our calves. Nobody pays any attention to your feet. They're the first contact with the ground.
Yeah. Feet is important. And I just heard a study about longevity because feet and balance, it's really important not to fall when you're 80.
Yeah. One of the number one indicators of falls in the elderly is poor toe strength.
Yeah.
That's straight from Peter Attia.
Yep.
Can you do toe yoga? Have you ever done this?
I don't know.
Put your feet on the ground. I know you have your ottoman. Can you lift your toe, your big toe, while keeping your other four on the ground?
Oh, is that a test? Because I can do it.
Can you do it without having your brain short circuit? Because when I first tried this, I knew what I wanted to do from a neuromuscular standpoint, but I could not. My toes wouldn't do it just because they've.
It happened pretty quick. Yeah.
Both feet. Both?
Yeah.
But okay, now can you put the big toe on the ground and lift just the other four toes?
Oh God, no.
Yeah. So
yeah. Work on that. That was yucky. That felt yucky.
Yeah. So you got to work on that, bruh.
Okay.
Otherwise, we don't need that big 6'5" frame tumbling.
Yeah.
You think about a shoe, man. Your foot is like
with fingers. Can you do this every other?
I can't really see.
So,
yeah, that's hard. I feel like that's more neurological than it is your ability to actually
do it.
I guess what I was talking about is, can your toes physically do that?
Right. And the first one, yes. The opposite way, it does not.
Look up toe yoga. It's a good way to
get comfortable.
Yeah. It's okay. Imagine walking your whole life, okay? Imagine walking your whole life with mittens on.
Yeah, it's like The cultures in China would bound their feet, right? And
This is news to me. But imagine walking your whole life with mittens on your hands and then thinking that that's the optimal way to use them.
look up bound feet. They thought small feet was a good thing, and they folded the toes under and wrapped.
Interesting.
So they wouldn't grow.
So yeah, I'm wearing toe spacers. You can say I've lost my mind, or you can think that I've just ascended to a higher plane. It's still up for debate.
Everyone can write me personally if you're concerned about Seth, and I will weather those concerns.
And I'll show you my feet again.
Please, I will black this out. I'm gonna blur it.
We're officially NSFW.
Someone's gonna sell that for OnlyFans.
Footfinder.com. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
I
do love paddleboarding, and I always know in the first times of the season, you feel your feet kill because of that balance and grip.
Yeah. Like, how often do you walk no socks, barefoot, anywhere?
In my house, a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense if your shoes are binding your ability to be free.
Yeah, I mean, go take the sole out of a shoe, put your stand on it, and spread your toes, and they'll be way over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
You're just squeezing. What's better balance? This?
Right.
This.
Of course.
Ultra.
Have you ever worn Ultra shoes?
That will be my next running shoe, because I feel like they're an in between. Because I'd like to. Obviously, I'm so excited. Obviously, like the super shoes, like the Nike Vaporflies and the big Hoka running or some of the race Hoka running shoes, whatever. The marathoners and the elite runners are wearing those for a reason, right? They're super shoes. They increase performance, but I feel like you should still have strong feet before going into those. And I feel like walking around barefoot or training in a barefoot shoe is maybe a way, among doing things like toe yoga, to get some strength back in your feet.
Yeah.
But I feel like going straight from a Hoka shoe, which is what I have, to a barefoot shoe is just asking for problems after years of being used to having super shoes in that crutch. I feel like you just mess up your Achilles or something. But the Ultras, I've heard, are a good stepping stone to that.
Yeah, they're very wide,
right? They're not on an angle.
Yep, you can have flat, and I have
a wide toe box.
Very wide.
Wide toe box, yeah. So
plenty of room.
That will be my next shoe.
Yeah.
Do you have those? Is that why you said that?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I knew about that, or I noticed Nico in Zion had this weird looking shoe, and they were very flat.
How weird looking?
Well,
they're just zero drop.
Right.
Especially they're the same height.
Yeah. But I've noticed zero drop because I've always liked zero drop for, I'm saying zero weird, zero drop for golf shoes. I want to be as close to the ground as I possibly can with my feet. Feet are very important in golf.
Yeah.
In terms of strength and kind of corkscrewing into the ground. So I've always liked to know, that's where I first heard about like a zero drop shoe. And he said those. And then he said the toe box is really wide. And I'd never really thought about that except for what you just said, like, oh, for balance, that might be better. And I got those for kind of hiking and trail running a bit. And they are just super comfortable. So I'm a fan. Very, very much, very roomy.
Nico, the game here.
Yeah. They run a little big though. Makes sense. Feels big.
Right.
So I did a size down, and that's like a beautiful fit. But maybe you're supposed to do the right size just so you have that room. I don't know. They felt a little sloppy when I was trail running. So I went a size down and they felt a little better.
I like how we made the rule not to talk about, you know what?
Yeah.
But we should have included golf. You can't help yourself. I don't think you would have been able to get through an episode.
Okay. We can.
No, we can't add it now. You're allowed.
All right. Well, speaking of that, what else have you been into, if not the P word lately? I'm asking that because I selfishly want to answer, but.
Well, you can go first. You're doing the classic. I don't want to just talk about myself, so I need to ask first and then I can reciprocate.
Yeah.
It's so funny in conversation. It's so hard to, I guess, if you're aware of how you could go overboard with a narcissistic tendency.
Yeah.
To be just like, well, I'm sure I've done it this episode, but I mean, you need to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
I guess you could prime it with, can I share something?
Can I share something?
That's not bad, right? I feel like that's a good buffer for getting permission to speak about yourself without just jumping right into it. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. Do you mind if I share a little something that I've been into lately?
I don't mind at all.
You know what's nice about passions, the other P word, and I think maybe this is part of our point in doing this, is that things are allowed to ebb and flow, and you don't have to be obsessed with it all the time.
Right.
But as we know, like music's been a big part of my life, and lately with my buddy John, and we have a drummer Dave and a bass player Nick. We've been getting, yeah, he's better than Dave Grohl. We get together every like couple weeks and find a space to jam and come up with songs. And John and I play out, and this band plays out every once in a while. But it's fun as we're all sort of getting into playing together and upping the band, the camaraderie and like the connection, and learning music with other people is challenging and tough, and you have to really know each other and read each other. John's buying a ton of equipment for his guitar, little things here and there to just up the sound or change the sound. I got a keyboard recently, so getting back into playing piano and having fun with that. Relearning a skill that I had when I was 13 years old. It's probably my pinnacle. And just kind of like doing that and making another thing, like not another thing, but just sort of putting it together and starting to market ourselves and try to get occasional gigs. It's kind of fun. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's the genesis of anything you're like really into, and getting it going, I think is an exciting period. The first couple years of anything, the honeymoon period or what have you, but this is like to
me, that's the easy part, the getting it going part, because it's fun, you're motivated, there's lots of energy. The continuing part with anything is the difficult part.
Absolutely. Do I want to practice, like, drag my stuff everywhere every single day and practice and have band? Like, no, I that's not what I'm talking about. But the idea of, whoa, what could this turn into if we put our all into it, or if we put 50% into it, or if we just did this once a month, what could this be? And sort of seeing into the future or guessing what it could be. And like you said, how much do you want to practice? Do you want to just practice when you guys meet up? Are you going to practice on your own? Are you going to, so it's like,
well, I have a question for you.
It's that sort of thing. And it's been a nice break from the P word to just exercise a different muscle.
Yeah. Which will make you better at said thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're not speaking about this episode. It's hard. Damn.
No.
Hopefully people appreciate it. My question for you is, you said thinking about what this will be. Like, it's exciting to think about what this will be. I have that mindset too with a lot of things, but I'm trying to, this isn't me trying to one up you, and I'm posing this question to you as well. I'm trying to get to a place where the question is maybe instead, or also, what is this now?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than what could this be? Because I feel like if you lean too far into what could this be, you can daydream too much, and I feel like you could run the risk of missing out on some current joy. What is this right now? And I've been asking myself that a lot in the last few weeks, because I'm trying to invite more joy into my life. Not from a depressing state like, oh, life's not fun. Just, how can I have more joyful moments, and what does that look like? What does that feel like? Kind of as a combat against our earlier episode of if when you zoom out so far at a cosmic level and everything is meaningless, it's just you can sort of diminish doing the value of doing anything. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's stupid. So, why bother? When you zoom out too far, it's probably like a detachment detachment defense. So I'm trying to get into a place of what is this?
Yeah. That makes sense. And I think that excitement of what it is right now is what makes you think of like, what is this? And I want more of this. I want more of this.
The interesting thing though is you can have more of this without progressing, potentially. Like if nothing changed, would it still be fun?
Yeah, I wonder if that's
right.
The truth about anything without any sort of change.
I just feel like we're naturally primed to
get more.
We've talked about it on the show. It's just I wonder how much of that is natural human nature or how much of that is modern doctrine that's just been learned from a young age that you need to progress, you need to get better for things to be worthwhile. I mean, if nothing changed with your band, it can still be fun. But that it's interesting, the urge to just, I feel like I need, you hear sayings like, if you're not standing still, you're going backwards. Is that true? Perhaps. Perhaps not. I don't know. I feel like I'm at a point, and not to make this about me, but your story has kind of inspired me to talk about this, or your example rather. I feel like a lot of my beliefs currently are getting challenged. I'm challenging them myself, just things that I believed were true about the world. I think some of the examples were that effort and reward is a one-to-one result, that everything needs to have or has some kind of inherent meaning. I feel personally like I'm at a stage where I'm floating through space and it's unsettling, but I also know that likely tremendous growth happens from that place.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're in a spot that you've never been in, you're about to learn a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've spoken about this on the show. You ever feel like you're molting the old you into a new chapter? Can you ever pinpoint chapters in your life?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can't really describe it other than that. Where you're like, I feel like I'm becoming somebody different. You're shedding the skin like a tarantula.
Yeah, and to speak to what you're speaking of, just in my day-to-day job, I think I do a good job. I think I make great connections with kids. I think I help them, but I am not frantically anxious and pushing the panic button. And sometimes I feel like in one of those movies where the character's walking slowly in real time, but the rest of the city's in hyperlapse, is often how I feel at work with other faculty or peers, just kind of like running around with their heads cut off. No offense to anyone.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about disconnect.
And I can zoom way out and be like, we're talking about like middle school issues. Like,
how do you not zoom out too far then? Or do you?
Well,
because you can
I zoom out far enough to know.
You don't press the brakes on the zoom out. You can get into real issues. Like this kid I just helped for an hour in my guidance counselor office. It doesn't matter.
He's going to be dead in 100 years.
Yeah, I'm a speck of dust in a like you can just go so far and then you just detach from everyone and everything, and that hurts to feel like you're experienced for the brief time on Earth, which is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think you want to zoom out. How about this? I'll put an answer to it. I don't think you want to zoom out further than your life extends. So if you zoom out to where you're a speck on the timeline of millions and millions of years, not one thing matters. Doesn't. If you zoom out to 60 years, you could say, hey, this connection with this kid might matter for him. You know? And you can keep it to that point. But you can also say, zooming out 60 years, a middle school grade or forgotten homework means absolutely nothing. Why are we freaking out?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I think there is a balance. I think you raised a good point. You don't want to zoom out too far where you're what's the guy's name in Office Space?
Oh,
is the main character's name?
I know the actor. It's Ron Livingston.
Yeah, it's Ron. I'm trying to think of his name in the. Well, Ron. No, I don't know.
We know who you're talking about. Where
But
he's just like,
he gets so.
is that where the secretary is like, what's,
Yeah.
he just keeps hearing it over and over again.
Yeah.
The guy with his stapler.
Great movie though.
I might watch that.
Yeah, he just steps away from. This is not important. Do my thing.
And then
he's getting promoted.
And then he robs the company.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I hear you. But music, it is fun right now. It has a rebirth, which it tends to do during the winter months for me, and then I'll get more into like an outdoorsy sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, to what we're talking about, I think I've been trying to. I mentioned earlier, I've been trying to have more joyful moments. I've been writing down and thinking about when during my week I had experienced the most joyful moments, and a lot of them are just playing, man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are. I played road hockey with my niece.
Fun.
It was March break, right?
Yeah.
She wanted to learn about the solar system, which I was psyched about, that a 7-year-old wanted to learn. So we went over that. It was so fun. We pretended to orbit around a sun and spin and stuff. It was freaking cool. And those were the first two things that came to my head. And I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. So it got me thinking. Most of the things on my list were playful moments. We forget how to play as adults, or I think we somehow learn that it's a waste of time or stupid, or you should be, crunching numbers for your tax season, or you should do those things, of course. But I feel like we've not carved out room for just, I'm gonna play a board game, I'm gonna play a video game for an hour. And so there's actually somebody I follow on Instagram, Damien Levesque.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's his name. I mean, he's done a bunch of crazy stuff. Like he's bear crawled a marathon.
Oh, jeez.
Climbed Everest. Although nowadays that's an interesting thing. It's a whole other discussion.
Who hasn't?
But I haven't.
Yeah.
But he had a post on I guess he did a podcast, and he says, I do one thing that I did as a kid every single day.
That's cool.
And I was like, this super high achiever who's done a lot of cool things that I think would constitute as a pretty fulfilling life, finds time to do one. I mean, whether he does these things, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Finds time to do one thing that he did as a kid.
Yeah. That's
got to contribute to your overall productivity, happiness, joy, life experience. So I'm like, that's interesting. I'm going to cherry pick that and take that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, adulting's funny. I don't even love that.
It's a dumb word.
It's a dumb word. I was just gonna say I don't love that word, but just the sense of being an adult. It's a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. It's a lot to handle on your day to day. It's a lot to manage. I don't blame anyone for getting into the habit of like working a long day and coming home and just zoning out, because
you've mentioned
there is like, I don't know anyone else's job or what it really feels like, but it can be stressful. And if that's giving you relief, whether it's the healthiest or the most fulfilling, I don't know, but maybe it's the shutting off of the brain that, to your points of like always going to the why am I binging Netflix every night when I get home? Because I'm miserable at my job. Like you can work it back to maybe something and figuring something out,
or it could be, I love this movie. This is a joyful moment for me. Like it could be both.
Sure.
Yeah.
To find things that you like and enjoy and connect with and are excited about, I think it might be the thing.
I think it's the thing. I think like it's obviously you can't have joy 24/7 throughout the day. Before, in prehistoric times, the Ice Age, being out in the cold wasn't fun. Like I get that. Maybe, but I feel like play throughout human history has always provided joy. Playing a game, playing with friends, at any age.
Or I love the word content because to me it's just a very fulfilling word. I've used that before. I feel like on this podcast, or maybe it's in my.
I vaguely remember you saying this.
But to me, happy is like, if we're talking food, happy is cake. Great, cool. Cake is wonderful, but
what kind of cake?
I would go with cheesecake with like a berry sort of thing on top. But a wonderful piece of grilled fish or chicken with broccoli and a piece of fruit for dessert. You're very satiated. To me, that's content. Like that's these moments in life where I just took a power nap before we got on here.
Naps are nice.
I love them. I'm a huge fan.
People who can't nap.
20 minutes, fell asleep, got up. That's why I was a little bit late.
Yeah.
But my dog came up.
You were late.
Really likes me. Yeah. He laid right next to me, head on my like hip, and he does the right. We all know that dog sound. And my whole nervous system just went like, oh, like complete relax. Right. And that is a moment of joy. I'm content.
And maybe that's the point. I think that's what I'm getting at. Maybe like that moment, then maybe that's the point. Talking about meaningless and all this stuff. Just, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe that's it. I think we can maybe overcomplicate things.
My son just said he's been playing chess at school. I'm like, that's cool. So I got a chessboard and it just got delivered today.
Is it crushing you?
We have yet to play. I'll film it. I'll put it on our match. I'll hyperlapse it. No, I'm not going to do that.
Time smacker?
Yeah. No, we didn't do the time smacker, but I am challenging him tonight and I have no idea what to expect. However,
he's just a grandmaster.
It'll be a cool moment, right? Like just like those moments of
what'll be cool about it.
Well, first of all, he's your kid and you're like, you know how to play chess? You know how to play like this complicated game? Well, we'll see, I guess. He could be like completely wrong.
He's just playing it like checkers.
I'll smash the board over and be like, I thought you said you knew.
You just dominate him, no mercy.
Yeah, zero mercy ever. No. You got to work up to it.
You don't let your kid win?
No, I don't want him thinking like, oh, wow. Going to bed thinking, I'm smarter than my dad. Like and it's all lie. I'm not into the whole lying.
The idea of making it just challenging enough that it's fun.
Yeah.
And instilling a right amount of confidence. Like
sure.
If I'm playing my niece, because I've played her in chess.
Yeah.
She'll win the first one so that she's excited to play. She won't win by much, but she'll win.
And you'll smoke her?
I'll smoke her the second game. You'll see a little bit of like an attitude fizzle.
Mm-hmm.
And then but then you're like, hey, you know what? Like you don't win always in life. Like you lose sometimes.
Yeah.
You give your best effort. You lose. I mean, that's a valuable lesson. I don't care how old you are. And then in the last game, I'll start winning and then I'll make a blunder.
Oh, a blunder.
Not an obvious one. I mean, she's getting older, so I got to watch out.
No, when we play FIFA 9-0, just destroy. And he's like, I don't want to play anymore. I'm like, we're finishing the game. No, sometimes
you're the all-star team. He's like Lithuania.
Yeah.
99 overall versus 58.
What's this? Talk about lying to kids. Well, I saw like these parents that are doing like it was St. Paddy's Day and this whole leprechaun trap thing. Like, don't we have enough to do on your day to day? You have to set up like green dye in the toilet and say the leprechaun peed in the toilet and stole and ransacked your house and you tried to trap him, but you couldn't. And he left a little treat for your kid. Like, who invented this?
I don't know. Creative parents. I think that's more of a problem with you. Like it's bothering you. It's hard. I get it. It's hard to let other people just do their thing. You're like, that's dumb.
No, they can do their thing, but now here's the thing. As a parent, there's pressure to do the thing that people invent and then put all over social media.
No, it's not. No, I am of the mind nobody is forcing you to. You can do whatever you want.
And I do, and I don't. But I see other people.
Do you look at that and go, "Oh my God, I have to do this for my son now"?
No, I don't. But I see other people that freak out.
Well, like that's their problem.
Yeah.
Now somebody else is prioritizing your life.
Yeah, I guess. Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
Great job. Do you think without social media, there'd be any of these like Elf on the Shelf?
I think so. I feel like Elf on the Shelf's been around for a while.
Look it up.
I mean, this is funny. From the time I was, as long as I can remember.
You're a baby. You're just a wee baby.
A wee baby. Even to this day, when I visit my mom for Christmas, I get a scavenger hunt on Christmas Eve. She writes clues. Fun. She writes clues that rhyme, and I go and find stuff. Like this year been doing it with Haley when we visit. She'll write them out, and it's like more for her, you know. But it's fun.
Oh, someone published a book in 2005 called Elf on a Shelf.
You're like, I wasn't listening. I was researching.
No, I heard you. Scavenger hunt. It's fun. We do it. Yeah. We probably do Easter egg hunts too.
Yes. Gonna. No, I don't do those.
Are eggs expensive in Canada?
Are eggs expensive in Canada?
Right now?
I don't think so. I haven't noticed.
You're an egg eater.
Are we going to be national friends again soon?
I think so.
What's going on?
That's all distraction. I think we're friends.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Canadians are pretty mad.
Yeah. You should be.
I think so. We're not going to go political, but we're a little mad. I didn't think it was possible to make an entire country angry at you, but I mean, the entire country of Canada angry at you is what I meant to say.
What I ask Canadians, my plea, I'm going to look into the camera. What I'm asking Canadians to remember is that it's not us, the whole country. It's just a few really rich people, really rich people that are deciding that they know what's best and maybe ruining it for everyone. But
how could you explain it to me like I was 5?
How can I explain to what part?
Like do what you just did, but explain it to me like I'm 5 years old.
Listen, sometimes mommies and daddies fight. It's normal.
I mean, they love each other any less.
It's healthy. This is just, we've gotten along for a very long time, and sometimes you got to air out some grievances. And
you're going to say grievances to a 5-year-old?
Air out some angry moments and talk about why your feelings are hurt, and hopefully compromise and come to a place where we can agree and be respectful.
And say sorry.
Say sorry.
We're both sorry.
Yeah. No.
That's something, have we talked about on the show? Habit of mine? Or trying to, I don't know if this applies to Americans, but Canadians say sorry for everything.
Yeah, they do.
Even today, we were texting, we need some revisions on a graphic Hillary was doing. I was like, sorry.
Yeah.
For what? So I'm guilty of this sometimes.
I layered one last one in, and you're like, oh my God, dude.
Trying to get us killed. There's nothing more annoying than when, because I do design work. I know like where you're like, this is great. This is what they asked for. And they go, actually, could you, the space in between the lines, could it be a little less? Which is a whole, you have to redo the whole thing, essentially. Yeah. And it's not even like the change takes the time. It's the export and sending it back.
Yeah.
Like, for God's sake, man.
It was way better after my suggestion, though.
What was I talking about? Oh, anyways, Canadians say sorry for everything. So being consciously aware of only apologizing when you've done something wrong. It's hard to do as a Canadian. Like, if 2 Canadians bump into each other, they both say sorry simultaneously. And if you get the syllables exactly right, a bottle of maple syrup appears out of thin air.
Yeah. Do you have Trader Joe's?
No, but I've been in a Trader Joe's with you and Ian.
Oh,
Mesmerizing. I like
It's-
the big bell they have.
yeah.
Did they ring it when we were there? They did.
Yep.
Forget what it does.
Thin aisles though. A lot of bumping into each other.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Too crowded.
Could you imagine? Just like
the Canadian Trader Joe's.
I'm like going to some place in Africa where they walk 30 miles for food. You're like, man, we have it so rough. Trader Joe's bump into each other, man.
Yeah. Fucking go home. Why are you all shopping right now? Stop.
Just saying that to people who have to walk miles for food. That's your biggest problem. I think we don't have problems like we do not have real problems a lot of the time.
Oh, not real problems.
We're lacking so many real problems that we have to like go make them. It's like allergies. Everything's so clean that your body's just like we're gotta fight something.
I was thinking about
that. I'm not an M.
Yeah, I was thinking this winter. This winter was tougher than last in terms of temperature and weather.
Yeah, I don't know about where you were, but it was nasty.
Yeah, so I got the same amount of wood that I do for my wood stove. And we went through. I was done by I don't know, January 1st. I was done.
You just order. You order like a cord.
Yeah, I order a stack of. I use bio bricks for my wood stove, but went through them trying to heat the place. There was a stretch of 20-degree weather. But my point was, I had this thought in January of like, God, the olden days, not too long ago, like the stress of crap, like we're running out of heat.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
Running out of wood, or we didn't.
That's a problem.
Farm the right way. We didn't have a good crop season. Where are we getting food from for the rest of the
4 years?
Yeah, I hope I find a deer in the next 4 days, or we're done. Like real problems, right?
Right. I hope my child survives typhus.
Yeah,
but now we're like, we're real did 40 plays.
Yeah,
but here's the trick. Okay, here's to come back to it. Now this is where you can minimize stuff. You can like zoom out. This is how the zoom out starts. Not a big deal. I'm being stoic about it, and you just go,
yeah,
and you're like, everything's stupid and meaningless. Like you got to be so careful.
Yeah,
it's almost like you can't compare the times.
But I always talk about, have you read that book, Essential Man's Search for Meaning? Yeah.
I pulled it out. I'm up to 4 books now that I've pulled out. Let me see.
Yeah, wow. That's a book episode.
I like squint my monocle.
This is a book episode.
Look at that.
At least we're not showing feet.
We got Man's Search for Meaning, Born to Run, Order of the Phoenix, and Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes. So far is what we've covered. Should we put books? Should we put what we reference in the episode description? Maybe.
Good.
What about it?
But talk about existentialism. Just talk about that. I mean, his ability to zoom out through his time in the Holocaust.
Oh, I have things underlined in the book. I didn't know I was doing that. That's a recent thing. I've been underlining things. Should I read a random thing that I've underlined?
Sure.
See if it applies.
Sure.
Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Those were pages of a book, not me farting. Okay, here's one. The meaning of life always changes, but that it never ceases to be. We can discover this meaning of life in 3 different ways. 1, by creating a work or doing a deed. 2, by experiencing something or encountering someone. And 3, by the attitude we take towards unavoidable suffering.
Very good. So good.
That was fun.
It's a good
book.
And a good episode without.
Maybe if you're struggling with meaningless, that's a good book. Maybe that should be next again. I should revisit it.
Yeah, that is a good book. It's heavy, not big. It's short.
It's very short. You could read it in a day if you're like a
heavy,
word minute reader.
heavy material.
Yeah, of course.
But one I always go back to when times are tough.
Why does this help you in a tough time? What is a tough time for you?
The third point of your attitude towards a situation is really what shapes it. Is really what makes it.
Right.
So a tough time. There's a lot of tough times. There can be. Now I'm a very blessed life. Very privileged. Absolutely.
But you're going to get slammed with, and so am I, and so is everybody listening.
Yeah,
with things that just bring you to your knees.
Yeah.
Deaths of family members, deaths of dogs, illness.
Yep.
Breakup.
Yep.
You know, like you're going to get crushed.
Yeah. So, but knowing when you do that super zoom out, that like, okay. Like,
so the super zoom out helps you there.
Yeah. The world keeps going.
Or it amplifies.
I'm going to get through this. Getting through tough times helps. Like,
yeah. But it doesn't make the tougher times ahead any less severe. That's the
no, but I do. I don't know. I look back to other tough times and go like, I got through that. This is going to suck for a while.
Though. It confirms your ability to get through things. It doesn't make it any less felt.
No, of course.
Which is what we all ideally would want. Like, I don't want to feel this.
Yeah, but you can get stuck in the feeling for way longer than you need to.
Well, isn't that subjective? Like, who's to say how long I need? Like, people are like, it should take you beep, boop, boop, boop. Let me put in my calculator. You've been dating 4 years. You should be over her in 4 months. Like,
half the time. Is it half the time? 2 years.
That to me is just silly. Personally, I think that's silly. Like, slapping these like rough guidelines on things. I'm not saying you're suggesting that. I'm going on a tangent, but just like it takes what it takes. Like, it takes some people maybe a year to train for. We'll use running example. If you're not allowed to do golf, I'll be not allowed to do running. For a marathon, and some might take somebody like half the time and they get a better time. It's just how it is. You know?
Yeah. If you're still training for a marathon 10 years from now, maybe you're doing something wrong.
Just to finish, or because you can always be training. Maybe you want to go faster.
Yeah. But I'm saying just to run it or finish it or start it. So
yeah, I mean, you can get trapped. That's a good point. I mean, you can get trapped being.
There's a time to not be feeling it so heavily, no matter what it is. Otherwise, you've become comfortable with something, that cycle, the feeling. You're not moving forward, so you're stuck.
Are you?
There is a time. There's a time.
Because I had asked earlier if you're not moving. I guess in this sense, if you're like stuck in grief and not moving.
Stuck in grief, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I lose a parent, knock on wood, that I don't.
Well, I mean, you will. You'll lose.
I will. I'm saying, if I do, and then whenever, when that happens, and I hole up in my room for a week, okay, normal. If I'm there 7 years later,
well, yeah, of course.
Not great.
Of course. And I guess that can be, example.
That could be my perception. I'm feeling it every day.
Less extreme, I feel like, can get a lot of people hung up, like where you just can't move on from stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously not in the same sense of where you're in your room for 7 years, but like the art of letting go is so hard.
Yeah.
And accepting things for the way they are. You're talking about radical acceptance, which is a difficult thing to come by. But I feel like just thinking about it is practice.
Yeah, when you have radical, it's the other thing of like expectations. And it's good to have expectations or...
Do you walk around with expectations in life? Like, this is what's going to happen? Or do you just float and you're like, I'm going to have no expectations. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to try. I'm going to,
I do have, what you just said. But I do have, see what happens. More like I'm going to try hard at the process and then see what happens.
Yeah, I like that.
The expectation part is where people get really hurt and those feelings really hurt. Like relationships ending, you know, I assume, well, maybe not always, but if you're in a serious relationship, we have this idea of like, this is it. This is going to be forever. And if it's not, then your reality, your perception got shattered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Versus me personally with relationships is they're all temporary. They're all going to end.
Yeah, like true. Even marriages the last 80 years.
Someone's leaving someone.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're talking about practicing impermanence.
Yeah. Yes. Impermanence.
Can you get to a place where you're just like too stoic that you're unable to function? I'm thinking about this because
my neighbor challenges me a lot about stoicism, and we fight on this. And I say it's not the numbness. It's not numb to feelings. It's feeling feelings, but not letting them control your actions. And that's my definition of it. Like, I can be so horribly sad and not take it out on someone next to me.
How do you channel that though? Like, because how do you allow
in that book?
How do you allow the input output?
The space. There's a space for something to go in and then out. There's right here. There's a stillness from boom, boom. Here, there's a stillness. And I think in that book, Man's Search for Meaning is one of the most famous quotes from it is the moment between the stimulus and the response is your power to choose. And I don't know if you hone it
or how you're going to output.
Yeah.
Okay.
To some degree. Yeah. I think, yes. I think it's a practice. I think it's a honing of that moment to stretch it out a little bit where you can consciously be like, whew, that really hurt. Okay. There's moments long enough. I'm not going to punch a hole in the wall.
Yeah. Like, when was the last time you were irate?
When that moment, oh God, I don't know. I'd have to get back on that.
I can't tell you when I was.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned in this show, I've been using my, been training my AI model. I have a certain conversation going that's logging my weekly hour-long therapy sessions I've been doing with an AI model. I've been using prompts. And this came up just like it was suggesting the benefits of potentially leaning more into emotion when they come up. And I was writing back after thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not someone who like, I don't have that desire to. I would consider myself somewhat stoic, not like made super zen, but just I feel like I'm in control, and I feel that space you described when that input comes in or that stimulus. And it just got me thinking about, is there value in having an outburst? Maybe not at someone, but just in general. You know, these, what are they called? Do you have these? Well, it's America, of course you do. The wrecking rooms where you rent a space, like an old TV in there and a rage room.
Yeah.
Is there value in that? That's the opposite of stoicism. If you're a stoic, you're not going to go in and just smash shit for an hour and pay to do so. I've never done this. I wonder if people who have done this leave there feeling so good, or if it's like a form of venting where you almost feel worse. I could see both happening.
Yeah. I might be weird with emotions, but I feel like there's a way to calmly express. To me, I think the output is the inability to communicate with words how deeply you're feeling. So if I hurt someone by something I did and they lose their mind towards me, that's a very strong message of how badly I hurt them. And I think sometimes humans equate that to, like, if they calmly say, you've hurt me. Hey, Seth, you've hurt me more than anyone's ever hurt me. But I said it that calmly. I wonder if there's a worry that the interpretation won't be, well, if I want him to know that I'm hurt more than I've ever been hurt, I need to lose my mind to him. I
want him to feel like how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I feel like there's a behavioral learned stuff with our parents on how we were treated for emoting. Did we get in trouble? Did we get in trouble for being angry? What?
Is that a pathology, or does it serve an evolutionary purpose?
Maybe.
Like me wanting you to be as upset as me?
Yeah.
That probably just invites a conflict.
Right. Is it egotistical too?
But like on a primal level, I wonder what that's serving. I'm mad, you're mad, let's fight. Whoever wins is like continues the gene.
Maybe. No, I mean, output a if someone breaks into the house and like is my kid's in danger, like to be able to have the output is important, I think, to channel anger or channel
about being able to control it.
Yeah, but I think if no one's in danger, to lose your mind, like lose it, is I don't know when that's ever really helped.
Well, no, because people black out, right? People black out in a rage and like crazy stuff.
Yeah,
just look at the news.
Horrible shit.
It's stuff you don't mean, things you shouldn't have done. It's funny you mentioned like it got me thinking. I picked up this book again. I know we keep referencing books, but in Don't Sleep There Are Snakes, the author describes that they don't say sorry to one another. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask you, okay, well, how do you resolve conflict pre-language when you're a caveman grunting?
There's probably way less.
Probably because you needed to collaborate cooperatively to live. Like I'm sure it was very egalitarian.
Yeah. I think words are what in the Four Agreements, he talks about words being magic. They really are, if you think about it. Like how hurtful sounds can be.
I'm like, my face is covered by the end.
Just filling up the.
I haven't read it yet, though. To be
every book that I say, you're like
this goddamn word. Yeah. Well, I mean, I bought a lot of the stuff you've suggested before.
Yeah. So. Have you not? You said you'd not read that yet.
I have not read it yet. No.
Oh, that's a good quick one. I think you would like that. I think
I've just, to my point, I've needed a break from.
Yeah.
This is learning. That's why I'm reading Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's fine. But words are magic, and our language is interpreted false or interpreted wrongly a lot of the time. Like the tone, they meant this, they said this, they used this word. That word to me means this. That word to them means something different. It's like if we talked less sometimes, I think we would be
people shouting at each other. Well, I mean, you're essentially playing broken telephone every single time you have an interaction with somebody, because the way first of all, what you're trying to convey, if you're not extremely articulate, there's some noise, and the pureness of your thought is lost just immediately from thought to you speaking.
Yes.
And then you have the recipient who has their own definition of the things you mentioned: your facial expression, your tone, your body language, the inflections, what those words mean to them, whether they have the proper definition of that word. And then you have how they've heard it and how it gets interpreted emotionally. Like, it's just, you cannot get a pure absolute signal in any kind of conversation, whether it's text, email, spoken, which is very interesting to me. And I think that speaks to, we talk a lot about what you can control. You can't control necessarily the person you're speaking to or how they interpret what you're saying, but you can maybe eliminate some of the fuzz, the static, the noise between the thought that's rolling around in your head and what is leaving your lips and mouth. In other words, articulation. You can at least control and minimize how much of the real message is lost. And that's why it's so important to read stuff, listen to things, speak to people, because you're only going to work that muscle out doing those things. It's funny right now, I'm actually, you said what I'm up to. Remember I talked about on the podcast about wanting to do 3 very difficult things that have a high degree of failure, maybe 50%.
Yeah.
One of them right now is learn a language. And so I, for the last month, have been teaching myself Norwegian. Norsk.
Wow.
With the intent of getting to a B1 speaking level in 1 year's time. And what we were just talking about kind of pertains a lot to how I've gone about trying to teach myself or create a lesson plan or a strategy. Now, you would think, okay, let's look at the 5,000 most commonly used words in Norwegian and let's try and memorize them all and just approach it like a real academic or how you were maybe taught in school. From my research and everything I've gathered, it's getting back to how we learned. What did we do for the first 2 years of our lives? What did you do and what did I do?
I don't remember.
You sat there and listened to people talk all day and understood none of it.
Yeah.
You listened for the first, you were going, go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 years of your life, you listened. That's all you did. So a lot of my strategy involves watching Netflix shows, listening to podcasts. I have a journal going so that I can see how to best articulate myself based on which words I use the most. Do I need to know what nuclear power plant is in Norwegian right now? Probably not. How often am I saying that? And just getting to a place where you can pick up on how things are said like a 2-year-old would. And then what does a 2-year-old do when they turn 3 or 4? My want that. Completely wrong, but you know what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It gets refined as they get older. You make mistakes. It's just very interesting. We talk about how you can learn a lot from kids, but I thought you said we need to listen more. The first 2 years of your life, learning how to speak and navigate the world with language is spent listening to stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know you were learning a language. See, this is why we're doing this. To chat.
Yeah, and it's well, and I had started Duolingo like 2-3 years ago because Haley and I wanted to go to Norway. We never went. And Norwegians speak probably better English than a lot of English natives. Mm-hmm. It's actually a very cool accent. It's almost British, but not. It's very elegant. So people might say, well, why would you learn that? There's 5 million speakers. They speak great English. There's just no, it's not very pragmatic, right? But I had started it because I have Scandinavian roots, not Norwegian specifically. I wanted to go there. Mm-hmm. I started Duolingo 2-3 years ago. Now, I don't think Duolingo is, I'm not an expert, but like, I don't think that's necessarily the best way to learn a language just because it's not really that immersive. But it's finishing what I started. I had started that with the intention 3-4 years ago and I bailed on it. Here's another opportunity to finish something, to close a loop.
Yep. Nice.
So, and you feel like you're making no progress, but now I'm listening to stuff. I'm like, I know what was just said. That's cool.
Huh,
I can't just fire off a sentence off the cuff, but I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's difficult. That's why I picked it as well.
Yeah, sounds it.
It's a hard thing to do.
Cool, man.
I like those. Let's run. My stomach's growling.
Yeah, I'm going to go whoop my son in chess.
Nice.
And take the dog for
Are you going to be white or black?
Walk. I don't know, but it also is a checkerboard. And in 7th grade, I invented a game, which I don't even want to talk about because I feel like someone's going to be like, that's a great idea and patent it and sell it. But
Idea Graveyard.
Yeah, Idea Graveyard. But I'm going to teach him the game that I made up in grade 7.
Nice. What was it called?
I might give it away, but it was called Flicky Checkers.
That doesn't give it away. There's lots of room for imagination there. Flicky Checkers. Okay, well, that's interesting. I hope everyone listening has enjoyed Aaron and I's deliberate conversation to not talk about Game Off photography today. I think we succeeded. It's important to have palate cleansers in life. It was nice to talk to you just about as a friend, right? We were always talking business stuff and take a break. And sometimes that's important. Go play a video game. Go introduce something back in your life that you did as a kid.
And write in, please. Let us know if any topics you want us to discuss, any questions you have about photography or life or things you think that would make for a good show. People often have done that, especially when we ask or give them the idea or maybe the green light to do so.
Yep.
So we're giving that green light. Please let us
YouTube
know.
comments, DMs on Instagram.
Yeah, let us
email Aaron or I,
know.
and you can, if you're listening on Spotify, you go down to the comments, you can leave a comment, and we see those.
Yeah. So we appreciate you, and we want to address your needs.
Yeah.
And it was a nice palate cleanser to not talk about the P word.
Yeah, and we'll get back to some photography
For a bit.
stuff in the coming weeks. And if you like what you heard, as always, leave a rating review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Great, cost-free, effective way to support the show. You can follow us by subscribing on YouTube as well. Link to that's in the episode description. And go have fun. Go play.
Yeah. Have some fun. See ya.
Yeah.